Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. We're so glad to have you. We are going to jump right into it because we want to ask you a quick question to get started. So we're going to ask you to respond to our poll by opening a new tab and going to tinyurl.com/jshoemaker. And we want to know, thinking back to middle and high school, what did you want to be when you grew up? And when you get on that screen, we're just asking that you don't put any spaces. So like you can see underneath of Kaylin and mine's picture, I wanted to be a marine biologist. So if I were typing in marine biologist as an answer, I would type it all as one word with no spaces. So if you don't mind doing that quickly while we get started, just let us know what you wanted to be when you grew up. So Kaylin, you wanted to be a surgeon. Any kind of specific surgeon?
Actually, and you won't be surprised by this, I wanted to be a plastic surgeon.
Interesting.
Which makes me think about when we brought on my friend in the spring, right, who was a plastic surgeon. And that's really, really cool. We brought him on with the kids, right? So, and you wanted to be a marine biologist despite living in, where did you live?
I grew up in Pittsburgh, yeah.
So close to the water.
Right, yeah. My parents took me to a trip to SeaWorld when I was little, and I fell in love with the animals and the dolphins, and I just thought it would be so cool to swim with dolphins and whales and stuff like that. So it does look like we are getting some responses as people are putting in their poll answers. Thank you for that. For everyone else, if you don't mind just hopping into a new tab and just typing in quickly what you wanted to be when you grew up. I think there's an interesting one up there too, huh? A racehorse trainer.
I think I could probably guess who that is.
Oh, okay. You might know.
I could guess that. And we have an astronaut. That's cool.
That's cool. Not sure what an IEA is, but
if someone wants to clarify that in the chat for us, we would appreciate that. I'm not sure what an IEA is.
For sure.
I'd love to know that. Makeup.
Makeup. Cool. Okay. An artist I saw also just popped up there. Very cool.
Very cool. Very cool. We have some very interesting people in our session today. Eric wants to be a baseball player. He wanted to be a baseball player, of course, right?
I see that in the chat. A psychologist. Someone maybe said didn't know or don't know. A lot of kids don't know. A lot of people don't know. Even in college, you know? So
that's tough. That is tough. I mean, I think that's one of the things that actually drove us to doing that career thing in the spring, actually, because I think a lot of kids are not exposed to careers or what the possibilities are, right?
For sure. They had no idea what's out there. So
absolutely. And we're a photographer too.
Oh, I missed out. Yeah, photographer must have just popped up. Perfect. Yeah. All right. So I'm gonna switch back over to your machine there.
Yeah. Absolutely. So when we were growing up, like John said, he wanted to be a marine biologist. I wanted to be a surgeon. And if we were asking today's kids what they wanted to do, this is what it looks like now. Teens today aspire to be YouTubers and bloggers, 30% of them. So crazy number, right? 30%.
Almost a third of our kids want to be vloggers and YouTubers.
Absolutely. And so we need to start to consider the types of skills we're teaching them to achieve these aspirations, because this is what they want to do. So when we start to think about this creator economy that we're in, it brings about a massive set of opportunities to provide the tools and the services that creators need to run their businesses. Over 50 million people are making income from being content creators. 50 million people are creating content. And YouTube, in the last 3 years, has paid out over $30 billion to creators.
Insane.
So what comes to mind when I'm looking at this video of this girl? Creativity, communication, collaboration, critical thinking. Those are the 4 C's. This is what we need to be teaching kids because this is what they want to do. And now you have a girl like this, but you also have kids. One of the biggest YouTubers, he's 9. 9. And you know what he does? He unboxes toys, and people pay him to unbox toys.
At 9, he's a millionaire.
He's a millionaire.
Yep.
They're making up viral dances to popular songs. They're blogging what seems to be a mundane event. She's talking about her coffee right now, having breakfast, right? And their mundane events, their daily lives, are allowing them to become entrepreneurs, and they're partnering with some of the biggest companies that you know. So this girl, let's meet this girl so that we have an idea of what we're talking about. And actually, before I show you that, let me ask you this. I want to see it in the chat. How many views do you think a video like this has?
And I think someone made a great point in the chat. While people put in the chat how many views you think this video has, Jessica said she loves unboxing, and I do too. Like all those brand new products that come out, like there's something mesmerizing about watching them opening the packaging and seeing that nice new shiny object that maybe you didn't get, first before everyone else, right? So
Absolutely.
people are saying bajillion views, thousands, if not millions of views. Yeah. 100,000.
Okay.
And you can still see.
Just so you know, this girl's in Paris right now, right? And just to give you an idea, and I watched this whole video. I'm saving you from the audio of it. But she talks about, she's in Paris. She has zero desire to go and see any of the sites, right? She wants to order breakfast. That's part of her thing. She gets ready. She deals with her pimply face, right? She talks about that, and she's, dealing with popping zits on the camera. And then she goes outside simply to take photos for Instagram. That's her whole goal of going to Paris, to take Instagram photos. So just so you know, this video, 5 million views. Not highly produced. It is literally a vlog of her day. 5 million views. So this is Emma Chamberlain. 2 years ago is when that video was shot. She was 17 years old. She has 10 million subscribers on YouTube. 1.35 billion total views on YouTube. She has 12.6 million followers on Insta. And she makes $2 million a year on YouTube. She's also included on the Forbes 30 Under 30 list. She also has merch that kids are buying. Oh, and a coffee company. I don't really know what a 19-year-old really knows about. I mean, she started this coffee company, right? So she has a coffee company and she has merch. And that video had 5 million views. Louis Vuitton flew her to Paris because of her influence. So I'm sorry, unless you're Hermes, Dior, or Chanel, you're not competing. And she's in your classroom. She was in your classroom when they flew her there. So I think it's time that we have a conversation. So I'm Kaylin Markman, and I am from the Department of Teaching and Learning, and I work in the Secondary Science Department, and I'm with my colleague.
My name is John Shoemaker. A lot of you know me already. I work in educational technology, teaching teachers technology integration. So we're here to spark up a conversation with you today.
We absolutely,
go ahead.
We absolutely are. And when we talk about social media, what's the capability? The next Emma Chamberlain is sitting in your classroom right now. She's in your classroom. Some of them are already influencers, and you don't even know it. And the reality is that we have to meet them where they are. Because at the end of the day, like I said, you're not Dior, you're not Chanel, and you're not Hermes, and you're not competing with that. So we need to capitalize on social media to promote authentic engagement, relatable tasks, and kinetic communication. How do we do this? Adobe Spark. Adobe Spark has 3 formats for kids to express their ideas: post, video, and page. And so John is going to take us through how we could utilize Adobe Spark to leverage the social media to engage our students.
For sure. Thanks, Kaylin. So what we're going to do is start with Post. And Post is basically a graphic program where you can create stunning graphics quickly and easily. And that's the big thing, is we know that time is precious in our classroom. So Spark is so simple, and Post can be done in 30 seconds. You can almost have a whole post done if you just remix one. So what we're going to do quickly is I'm going to show you how to get there. So I switched over to my screen really quickly, and you can see that I have an Adobe Spark tile in my portal. Your students have the Spark tile in their portal as well. And so all you have to do is tell them to click on the tile, and they'll automatically be logged into Spark and on the landing page for Spark. So today, we're going to pretend that I'm part of a science class, and we're going to be studying the immune system. It's a timely topic, knowing about vaccines and viruses with everything that's going on in the world. So I'm going to walk you through some assignments a teacher could have given their class. So the first thing we're going to start off with is as a raft assignment for Adobe Spark Post. So what we're going to do is pretend the teacher gave me an assignment that I am an influencer on Instagram, and I need to, that was my role. My audience is my followers, obviously the people that I'm posting to. The format is an Instagram post, so I need to create a graphic for my Instagram post. And the topic is to encourage my community to wear a mask. Okay, so that's going to be my raft assignment that I was given to do in Adobe Spark Post. So to do that quickly, now that I'm on the main page, you see right away there's this Instagram post option. So voila, click on Instagram post, and super simple, just give it a second to load. And then once it loads, I can either start with a template or I can start from scratch. So I'm going to start from scratch. And the first thing I want to do is add a photo. I'm thinking about a mask and thinking about someone sneezing. So I actually found a photo of my Achu guy. And let's pretend this is my primary character, so to speak, that I use in almost all my Instagram posts, right? He's my little Achu guy. So now I'm going to click on him because I don't want him to face that way. I'm going to just easily flip him, whoop, just like that. And I'm going to add my text and say, Achoo, because that's what we did, right? All right, now here's my text. I can make it bigger or smaller, but there's this magic little button down here in the bottom right corner that's going to flip through a whole bunch of styles. And the first time I always click it, it may not always work, but after that, look what it's doing for me. It's automatically formatting it in all these different ideas that could look good for me. So I can keep clicking through and find the one that I want to use. Now, I can also do it manually up here through all the different things. Basically, it's randomizing all the settings above here. So I'm going to start with this one, and we'll see if that one actually looks good at the end there. So now, where am I? I am going to be in a field. So I'm going to go and I'm going to search for an open field. And the great thing about all these photos in Spark is they're from Pixabay, which means they're copyright free, which is, especially as a secondary teacher, we need to be teaching that digital citizenship about not just going to Google Images and stealing that first photo. So now I want this to be my background. So when I click on it, notice there's a little option right here to add to background, and woof, look how easy that was. Now it's not, I can move it around like based on where I want it, but now here's my little person. I can actually twist him a little bit, right, and put it over here. And then I'm going to add some more text. And I already have this copied, so I don't have to take the time. But basically, my text is going to be, did you know a sneeze can travel up to 100 miles per hour and create up to 100,000 droplets, right? Now, it doesn't look too great. So again, I can click through and find a style that looks good for me. Now, I kind of like this one, but it's a little, nope, that's the shape. Oops. So I'm going to bring it in just a little bit. So even though it's their style, I can adjust it, stick it in the corner there. I still have my achoo here. And then the other thing I need to do, because remember, my assignment is to convince my followers. So I need like some way to convince them, right? So I'm going to put at the top, wear a mask, right? And I don't want to use that same style, but I'm going to make it nice and big here at the top. And again, I'm not going to obviously use this one per se, but you can see how easy it is to create this graphic. And then all I have to do is hit the download button and download it to my computer. And now I have that graphic, which I can now use sometime in the future, and use that for something else, which we'll share in a couple of minutes. But Kaylin actually has some other ideas and ways that you can use Adobe Spark Post. So go ahead with that, Kaylin.
Absolutely. Thanks, John. You did a great job. A+. So when we talk about Spark Post, the whole goal with Spark Post, the point of it, to create stunning social graphics, right? That's the goal. And kids today are extremely visual. We know this. Now, one of the things that kids struggle with tremendously, interestingly enough, is summarizing. However, they do it flawlessly on Instagram. They know exactly which one-liner to use to capture their entire image, right? They know, you ask a kid in an ELA class about alliteration, they're like, I don't know. But yet they're typing Taco Tuesday, right? On Tuesday, and Wellness Wednesday, or Wisdom Wednesday, or Throwback Thursday, and all of a sudden they could be teaching your ELA class. So some ideas around Spark Post, we can create image-based stories, which is amazing. You could create classroom signs and posters if you'd like, things for word walls, but you can do some close reading activities. There could be task cards. And the reality is that our kids are, because they're so visual, I know from the schools that I support with the teachers, kids pay attention when you make really nice materials. They're like, wow, miss, you spent time on this. They feel like you put like a level of effort into the assignment that makes them want to do it because they think it's like professional, right? As opposed to that copy that's 30 years old that you're copying over and over and over again. You're like, oh yeah, that word is this, just fill that in with your pencil. So you can do summaries, you could do some bell ringers, you could use exit tickets, and like John talked about, raft assignments, which we love. And a raft is so great because it gives kids an alternative method of demonstrating their understanding. And you can also throw a little bit of voice and choice into that too. So if you didn't want to necessarily make an Instagram post, if maybe John's teacher said, you know what, you can make a TikTok video, you could make an Instagram post, and the TikTok would be like a Flipgrid, right? Of course, we're not gonna have them on TikTok, but the reality is that raft assignments are really powerful. And something like Spark Post, you can see, you feel like a graphic designer in a matter of minutes. And you don't have to be the person like me obsessing over every little detail because Adobe's going to do it for you, right?
For sure.
So, John, you have anything you want to add about Spark Post before we jump into video?
I just hope that everyone saw how easy it was. Like, it's literally like just click and enter, click and enter. And even if you're not, you don't know everything about it, if you come up with the assignment, the kids will figure it out themselves, especially secondary. Like that's pretty easy for secondary kids, that they'll be able to, or they'll help one another to figure out what they're trying to do. So Spark Post is probably the simplest application of the three. So, but now we're going to move on to something a little more complex, right?
I wanted to just jump in and say, I saw Jessica Zunker mentioned a one pager, which is, perfect opportunity to make a one pager in Spark Post or an infographic. Absolutely. And
I see Shannon stealing my thunder here in a second, but I'll get to you, Shannon.
And the thing that I want to mention, just in case I forget, and it just popped into my head, the thing that's really important we consider when we do any of these activities, you really want to tap into kids' desire to be showcased. Mm-hmm. The reason that the Emma Chamberlains of the world exist, they're doing it for likes and retweets and shares and all these things, right? The way that social media works. So you have to start to think as from a teacher standpoint, are you the one that's holding the assignments all the time? Where is their work being showcased? How do their peers get to see what they're doing? Because that's what's going to drive it, not turning in a worksheet to you per se, but making something that their peers can say, wow, John, like you have really good design style. I'd love to learn how you did that. So I just wanted to say that before I forgot.
So one idea could be that, you have the kids do this assignment in Post, but then you have them post it in Padlet or a Padlet, document where the other kids can see their peers' works and comment and nicely critique one another. And you'll see the kids are going to work harder because they know that it's not just looking for your eyes only, because they're looking at, I have 10 million people following me. Why do I care about doing this assignment for you when you're the only one going to see it?
Absolutely.
So
and Cheryl, you bring up an amazing point. It opens up the conversation. You're absolutely right, Cheryl. And that's what our entire presentation is about. So yay, Cheryl gets the gold star for the day. Okay. Go, John.
And Shannon works as my plant in the field, because Shannon, the next thing that we're going to talk about is Spark Video. And one of the things you can do in Spark Videos is create a great public service announcement. So we're going to say the next part of my assignment that the teacher gave me after I've created my graphic is now I have to create a PSA. So I'm just going to click that plus and click on video again and give it a second to load. And then the first thing I need to do is create a title. So my PSA is going to be called Do Your Part PSA. And I'm going to hit next. And then the beautiful thing about Spark is they give you some templates that you can start off with, or I can start off by making my own. And so that's what I'm going to do. And so we're going to pretend that I've already got all my notes finished already. I've brainstormed this out. I've storyboarded this out already in my notes, that I'm going to be calling this my Do Your Part PSA, right? So here's my first slide. So the first thing that I want to do is add a photo. And because we're talking about COVID, I'm going to see if I can find a good picture for my title slide. And so I'm going to scroll down. And this also goes with your students of finding ways to search for things with different terms to find different images. So here's the one I want to grab right here. And I'm going to use that as my title. And I'm not going to have anything else as my on this slide. But notice there's this beautiful button here that allows me to do voiceover. So I'm going to do a voiceover really quickly and say, whoops, sorry, I got to allow. Almost 3 million people have died from COVID-19 since the beginning of last year. And now you can see it's recorded. I can listen to it. Almost 3 million people. Sorry, I'll turn the music off to start. Sorry about that. Almost 3 million people have died from COVID-19 since the beginning of last year. All right, so now I'm going to add another slide in my video, and I'm going to add some text this time, and I'm going to call it my campaign which is do your part, right? And now from here, I want to let you see there are all these different themes that are available from Adobe. So I've gone through I'm actually going to pick the flare one and let you see what that looks like. And that one's kind of bold. Yeah, look how bold that is. It really sticks out. If I wanted purple, I could purple. So there are different color choices. And there's this little shuffle as well, which kind of shifts the colors around, which is really neat too. So it could be like a dark mode almost. So I'm going to go with that right now. And I'm going to add my voiceover. And that's why here at Pleasant Grove High School, we want you to do your part to stay safe. Perfect. Next slide. So the next slide, I want it to be my first part, which is mask up. That's my first strategy that I'm going to share with people. And I'm going to go then also search for a photo now. And I'm going to search for, let's try COVID mask, maybe. Let's see if that brings anything up I like. I think it was all the way down. Maybe not. Of course, there it is. Perfect. I'll grab that picture. Now, I don't like this layout for this one, but you'll notice that Adobe gives me a couple of layouts I can do. So watch, I'm going to do this split screen. And what it's going to do is it's going to put my text on one side and my image on the other. And if I want them reversed, I can flip-flop them just like that. Perfect. I love that right there. And so now it's side by side. So now I'm going to add my voiceover, which is step 1, mask up. Did you know the average cough expels about 3,000 droplets at up to 50 miles per hour? So put a mask on and stop the spread. Perfect. So that's there. And I'm going to click my next slide. Hopefully my audio is okay, right? I see a note my audio might be a tad low, but hopefully it's okay. And so the next step I'm going to do is add another photo. My next step is going to be washing hands. So I'm going to search for wash hands and find one that looks a little soapy. Perfect. And add some text as soon as it's done. And I'm going to say wash. Right? And then I want to do this one as a caption. And I'm going to have step 2, wash up. 20 seconds of hand washing removes the bacteria and viruses from your hands. Need help? Just hum the happy birthday song, and that's long enough. And I'm going to do next slide, add another photo, and I'm going to search for, let's try 6 feet, because my next one is going to be to keep our distance. And notice not many came from Pixabay, but there is this one I really like from Bing. So I'm going to try that one. But it doesn't really work that one very well, does it? So let's see what I can do with this photo. I can edit it and I can zoom out. And now I can see the whole text there. Add my text, and I'm going to call this one back up, right? And I want this to be a caption as well. Step 3, back up. Make sure you keep yourself at least 6 feet away from someone else. And then final slide here is going to be text that just says mask up, wash up, back up. Right? Whoops. There we go. And I'm going to say, and now it's time to do your part. Mask up, wash up, and back up. And now all I need to do is I can download this or I can publish it. And I'm going to publish this because I actually want this link. So I'm going to click create link, which will create a link for me. And this is going to take a few seconds. So Kaylin, I'm going to turn it over to you while it's creating a link. And she's going to share some of the ways that we can use video other than a PSA.
Absolutely. Great job, John. Awesome job. And yeah, your audio is a little low, but it probably because you had to access your mic. So just letting you know that. So Spark Video, as you could see, and John was able to create a very captivating video in a matter of clicks with all of the different graphics, different backgrounds, templates, you name it. And so the kids could do all sorts of things, whether it's a video journal. Again, going back to our raft assignment, couldn't my format have been video and not been an Instagram post, right? Or a letter or a blog? It could have just been video, and that could have been my format. As a science teacher, I mean, we do demos all the time. Could you do a demo with a video and then post that somewhere for the kids to then respond to? So easy. And you could almost put in that text some of those little blurbs that you want to say, that if you don't want to talk over it, right? You could do a voiceover if you want, or you could put text, or you could do a combination. Kids could do book talks, which would be really interesting. Role play is always really fun too. I love that idea. They could interview people. They could essentially have like their own talk show. They could interview people on things, and that would be, I mean, they could go around and ask certain questions or ask people to take on roles and interview Charles Darwin, right? Or interview Harriet Tubman, or interview, you know, some Pythagoras, or whatever it is. You know what I'm saying? You could have them interview anybody. Experiments, observations. And then the thing that John and I love really the most is around teaching a concept. And this brings me to why people are using TikTok. For those of you that are not on TikTok, you gotta get on it. It's not just about dance videos. There are people on there that are teaching people how to make smoothies, new recipes, home projects that they're doing. And so it forces somebody in 60 seconds to tell someone how to do something. And it gets to the nitty gritty, the nuts and the bolts. And I'm telling you, there are major influencers on there. There are teachers on there. There are kids on there that are becoming eco-influencers. And there's a ton of things that you can do by teaching a concept. Say, look, in 3 steps, I want you to teach me something. And you could essentially use Spark to do that. And you could see how powerful that was and how quick John did that.
Yep, okay. For sure. I see bread talk is Jessica's jam. But yeah, there are some great TikToks out there that are really quick to teach that concept. And then what they do is they then push people to YouTube if there's a more longer explanation, right? So it's using the medium the way it's supposed to be used. So I wouldn't use Spark Video if I just wanted to create a graphic. This is designed for video, right? So it's about choosing the right tool for what you want to do. So the final part of my assignment from my teacher is I need to put all of this together into a beautiful web page that serves as a call to action. Because remember, it's not just about my teacher's eyes. I want to be able to create a call to action so that anyone in the community can see what I'm creating, because then as a student, I'm going to invest more time in it. Because I know you're going to share this on your Twitter account or the school's Twitter account or whatever to make it out for the masses. So the last part of Adobe Spark is post, which is web pages. So here it is here. Just going to do a new web page. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually be pulling this from my notes, as though if I were a student, I have all this stuff already done in my notes from all the research I've done on what we're calling, oops, come on. Clicking in there. Nope, it's still loading, I see. Hang on. It's not fully loading at the top up there. Give it a second. I'm impatient, so we'll refresh again. Let's let that blue line go all the way across now. I'm actually going to pull this down, and sometimes that helps.
No problem.
Maybe.
And if not, if I could just start to, do you want me to talk a little bit about Spark Page, or unless
I think what I'll do is I won't even worry. I think I can add some text here. Yeah, so I'll skip the title for now. Okay. What I'm going to do, so I can change the theme right now. So I'm going to change my theme. Again, all those themes that you saw before. Yeah, won't let me click in there. But when you notice when I scroll down, it gives me the option to enter some things. So I'm going to say in my first one, what is the immune system? All right. And I am going to then center this, and then I have my notes on what the immune system is, right? So I've done all of my note taking. I've summarized it in my own words. And so there's my notes on the immune system, okay? The next one, I'm going to add another set of text, and I'm going to call this one How Viruses Work. How Viruses Work. Whoops. And I'm going to make this a full heading as well and center it. And I'm going to add my notes that I learned about how viruses work now from all the stuff and all of my lessons that we've been doing. Capital V, paste, right? So there's my stuff on viruses. And now I want to bring in that photo that I made from post, which was my little achoo photo, which is under my post. And I'm going to add that as an upload. And so there now, the next thing is my call to action I used on Instagram. I'm reusing here on my website. And then the next section, I'm going to call something like, how do we protect ourselves, right? And I'll make that big. And you can see how I can then just continue to build a web page like you normally would, just plus, 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 plus. So then the next thing I want to do down at the bottom, I'm going to add my PSA video. And remember, I was getting the link before, so all I have to do is paste that Spark link in here and hit save. And there's my video that I created just a few minutes ago on Spark, on the Do Your Part section, right? Okay, so next thing I want to do is I want my call to action now, right? It's time to tell the community what I want them to do. So I want to show them, do they need a vaccine? And I'm going to add a button that says, click here to register to get a vaccine, right? And I'm going to link it to my local vaccine site.com, whatever it is, right? I want to center the button and say save. And now I've created a call to action on this website. So now they actually are going to they're going to make it worth actually doing, because now we've asked the kids to create something that everyone can see, everyone can use, and it's useful, right? It's all about the real world relevant assignments that our students can create and then use their own influence and grow their influence with others. And then just from there, I can preview my website, which is pretty easy. I can go through and see my whole website right here. And then I can always publish my website and get the link that then I can give to my teacher. Okay. I do know that I saw one thing I do want to address, like that kids can't use their phones in school, or what are students using to take footage in school with. If they can't use their phone in school to take video, you can record in the Chromebook if you want. Ideally, hopefully they could record maybe at home and then share it via Google Drive to themselves to then import into the video. But you notice I didn't use any moving video in my video. I just created slides and text and pictures and text on that one. Okay. Awesome. So with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Kaylin so she can share some ideas for post as well.
So page, but that's okay. Spark page. So the idea is to create an attention-grabbing web page. And John did that very quickly. And obviously he had his research done before and all of those things, but you need some ideas, portfolios. Kids could keep a running portfolio throughout the year, and that would be really cool. Things that they're really proud of. And maybe that becomes like a highlight reel for them, right? Whether it's assignments that they want to pop in there, and it's something that, they want to showcase. Essays, reports, journal entries, blogs, things for science fair projects. There's so many things you can do with a web page. And I want to wrap that piece up by going back and reminding you what our Spark stood for, our acrostic, right? Or acronym or whatever you want to call it. I mean, I don't know if it would be an acronym really, because it's more of a sentence. This is me now getting very specific. But when we talked about what social media does, we said that social media promotes authentic engagement, right? Using relevant tasks and kinetic communication. And I'll go back to the word kinetic. So what are we talking about kinetic? It's dynamic, right? It's not one-way communication. People are going to want to engage with it, and that's why people are on social media. So while social media definitely gets a bad rap sometimes, I'm going to tell you, this is where they are. So right now, 84% of teens are on Insta. 80% are on Snapchat. 69% are on TikTok, and that is climbing quickly. They're on social media 12 hours a week at minimum. That's the average, right? So it's really important that we start to think about how we teach them to engage on social media. Because as I said before, Emma Chamberlain is sitting in your classroom. The next one is sitting in your class right now. And we have to meet them where they are. So what's the benefit? There's a ton of benefit about social media. There's strategies that we can promote critical thinking through social media. One of the ones that I want to highlight, because I think it's huge, is the modeling of an intellectual tolerance. We've all been on social media and been challenged by somebody who thinks differently than us. And how powerful is that to encourage students to think about how they can relate to people who are different than them, who think differently than them, who act differently than them, who look different than them, and figure out, how do I do that in a manner that's respectful, and how do I accept people's ideas that are not like my own? Another one that I want to highlight, because I think that this is huge, is illuminating interdependence. Just think about the crossover of social media. Think about when you're on social media and you're like, wow, John, I didn't know you knew him. How do you know that guy? I know him. I know him from a different world. And it starts to think about us being citizens in pockets, in different pockets. And that I am a yoga practitioner, right? But I'm also a person who loves makeup, so I'm part of that group. And I'm part of this group. And where's the crossover? And it starts to really encourage people to extend those conceptual comfort zones. So if John's in that group, I wonder what that group's about.
For sure. So I also like numbers 8, 9, and 10. They're my favorite on this list. So amplifying cognition, we learn so much through social media if we're not looking at the garbage side of things, right? Like, there are ways to expand our intelligence by learning on social media, a new skill, a new task. I have to put in a new dryer. How do I do that? I go to YouTube and Google a video or watch a YouTube video on how to install a dryer. But also looking at how the form affects the message. So my graphic at the very beginning is concise, to the point, can be read in just a few seconds. My video takes a little bit longer. I have a little bit more longer time frame. So kids need to understand that different medium, they're able to manipulate, but which one to use where. And so that's these 3 different types of media are very helpful to figure that out and let them see how the message changes. And again, for me, it's all about authenticity. It's all about that relevance, real world. Let's engage these students because this is their world that they're living in right now.
And John, I think Sarah kind of hit the nail on the head. She closed it out for you in saying that realizing that teachers are using social media helps to build relationships. Be authentic with them. Let them see you as a person, and let them realize that you yourself are on social media and you use it all the time for things, right? So
For
To
sure.
close this out today, we want to ask you a question. And if you wouldn't mind putting this in the chat, we want to ask you, what's one thing you're going to do with Spark to engage your students based on what you know now and the importance of social media? What's one thing you can do with Spark?
So while we're waiting for that to come in, our contact info is on the screen, but I'm also going to do a couple of quick commercials because I know we're right here at our time limit. So go ahead and type that. What is one thing you want to do with Spark to engage your students? But the first thing I want to share is that we're going to be doing a poetry event on April 23rd for secondary students. So we want your kids to join this. You can find all this on our website, edtechtraining.palmbeachschools.org, but it's going to be Friday the 23rd at 1:45. Mr. Brian Turner is going to share a poetry reading with us at the end of that day. And we're so excited to announce that we have an official date for our technology conference. We have a theme. It is Fast Forward, a decade of change in a year, because literally we've gone through a decade of change in this past year. So we're so excited about this. It's going to be virtual. It's going to be online, but it's going to be through an awesomely collaborative platform that we're super excited to use. So more information will always be posted at our website, edtechtraining.palmbeachschools.org, but we'd love for you to save that date of October 15th. It's the first PD day of the year. So Caitlin, before we head out, did we hear any suggestions?
We did. We have someone doing a PSA for human impact. We have someone who's going to create a portfolio for fourth quarter. That's really cool. Commercials for novels. I love that idea, right? Getting another kid to want to read that novel. Super cool. Creating a plan for environmental awareness. Oh, I love Allison. That's great. Creating a PSA on responsible social media usage.
Love it.
Like it. Like it. Oh, I love that, Nadia. That's such a great idea. Good job, Carver. A brag page about our school.
Love it.
I love that idea. Earth Day. Yes, Jenny, get it going. Earth Day's coming up. Right around the corner. We just gave you an idea. You're good. You're good to go.
Awesome.
And I noticed that both Charmaine and Shannon said they're going to continue to use it because they've been using it all year. So that's fantastic.
Awesome. Wonderful. So with that, we just want to thank you. We're so happy you joined us today. We have so many ideas for you, so feel free to always reach out to us. Our contact information is on the screen. And our next session is really just in 10 minutes. So we hope to see you join the Flipgrid session here in 10 minutes. Caitlin, I'll let you have the last word.
That's it, guys. We'll be posting the presentation. That'll be on the page. So if you want to revisit it and get some information that might be helpful for you, you're welcome to. And it was so great to see all of you. Thank you so much for showing up. I hope you enjoyed it.
Yep. Have a great day, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.